Next session I'm really excited to have on stage one of the biggest brands, and certainly one of the biggest brands in retail. And we're going to be talking about transforming shopping with mobile and Walmart's perspective on that. Or as I like to call it, Asda. My nan used to shop in Asda. Gibu, you know, Asda was really dominant in the north of England, and my nan used to take there and used to get the best chocolate eggs for Easter, known to man. Can still remember the days of going to Asda in York. And the scale of Walmart is bewildering, and if we're all thinking about how we scale our business from like 10,000 monthly actives to over 100 million, then Walmart's in one of those positions. They can really talk eloquently and with experience about that. And the numbers are just crazy. Like 60% of US citizens are within 5 miles of a store, and a third of Americans shop at a Walmart. 2 million employees, and Walmart comes under 55 different brand names around the world. So with that, I'd like to welcome Gibu Thomas, Senior Vice President of Mobile and Digital, and he's joined by Don Davis, longtime Editor-in-Chief of Internet Retail Magazine. Welcome, guys. Cheers. Thanks, Don.
Good morning. So some people in the audience may not be frequent Walmart shoppers, and they may be wondering whether Walmart shoppers even have smartphones. So why don't we start with there? You know, how many Walmart shoppers have smartphones, and how often do they use them?
I would have a job if Walmart shoppers didn't have smartphones, so they better have smartphones. No, you know, I think, as was just said, a third of Walmart is America, right? So, and it's the same case in every market that we operate. Over half the Walmart customers have a smartphone. Under the age of 35, that number goes up to 75%. We have programs like Straight Talk, which is an MVNO that we provide extremely value plans with smartphones, with iPhones and the latest Android phones, to customers, which is one of the largest carriers in the U.S., other than the big names that you hear. So we're doing a lot of things to democratize access for our customers. Everybody has a smartphone. People are using smartphones. It's pretty common.
Okay. So let's get to what I think is the biggest question in retail today, which is, to what extent our stores are going to survive in light of the increasing competition from online retailers like Amazon that tend to have less overhead. So why don't you talk a little bit about how Walmart is using mobile to make the store shopping experience better?
Yeah, I think the question of, it's an interesting story to write of online taking over offline, but consumers are actually telling you something different, which is over 90% of retail still happens in a physical store. And I don't think it's necessarily because Walmart is there because consumers have a choice. It's really because in most of the markets that we operate in, a Walmart store is the closest point between a product that a consumer wants and where that product is. So, so how can you more efficiently connect that supply and demand is a real question. And so one of the analogies that I just made to you in the back room was, in-store shopping today is sort of like shopping in a catalog before e-commerce, except it's a 3,000-page catalog. The average Walmart store has 200,000 square feet, hundreds of thousands of SKUs. So it's very hard. If it's the weekly trip you're making, it's pretty easy. You know where the lettuce is, you know where the cereal is. But if you're trying to find something that is not on your weekly trip, it's a fairly hard process. You're walking around, you're trying to find an associate. We have an opportunity to change that now. So what we get really excited about at Walmart is, consumers are walking into the store with a smartphone. So the way we talk about it is, e-commerce brought the store to the web. That's interesting and powerful. But mobile brings the web to the store. That's even more powerful. So now imagine when a customer walks into a store, you have a predictive shopping list that's based on things that you've purchased in the past. It's able to direct you pretty well within the store because we know where each of the products are stocked, right? And so if there are things that you want that you're buying that has some national manufacturer coupons or other things associated with it, we can actually discover those things for you, so you don't have to do the work. We can do the work for you. So this digital transformation of physical retail experience through mobile, and then how do you seamlessly connect that to the online experience is such an untapped opportunity, and it's what we're most excited about.
So talk a little bit more about how you're going to know what I buy, or more likely what my wife buys when she goes to Walmart.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I mean, Walmart has always been good with data. We were big data before big data was cool, right? And so, which we've used, things like Retail Link are part of industry lore in terms of how we've used data to optimize our supply chain, to make our suppliers more efficient, so costs go down, which means we can lower prices for our consumers. But one of the things that we're about to do is we're launching nationally e-receipts to all our customers. And so you say, well, e-receipts, what's the big deal? Kind of welcome to the party, right? Because you go to a retailer, many retailers today, you get an email receipt instead of a paper receipt. The difference in the way we're approaching this is we're building e-receipts as a platform. And it's a platform that is going to be a real-time fire hose of transactional data that is once the customer opts in, it's tied to your identity. And it has APIs, which means we can build any number of applications on top of it. So you can imagine, the predictive shopping list is one of the applications, right, that we're building on top of it. We're in 7 markets in the US right now and about to go national. We're piloting a program called Savings Catcher. And so what's Savings Catcher? Well, a lot of consumers that shop at Walmart, they look at the weekly circulars. It sounds quaint to people in Silicon Valley, but this is how mainstream America shops. They look at circulars to find what's on sale at what store. And they literally, my wife's grandmother who lives in Ohio shops like this. I see her every, Sunday, going through a Sunday paper or whatever, trying to find, and then she goes to the different stores. So what we said is, that's kind of silly. We stand for low prices. So just come to Walmart. We'll browse, we'll scan all these circulars, and if it so happens, now we have your receipt data that's tied to you. So when you go through checkout, you punch in your phone number. We'll send you a push notification that says, actually, Don, there were a few things that we found that was on sale at this other store. So here's $2. We're going to match it, and we're going to refund it to you, and it's going to be a mobile gift card that's on your smartphone, so the next time you can use it. So tons of applications that we can build on top of this platform. I mean, you're only limited by your imagination, right? Imagine if I knew what you were shopping, and again, this is all opt-in. Customers have to opt into these things. Then I can tell you, hey, here are some low-sodium alternatives, because we're really making a lot of investments in sustainability and healthy living. So we could tell the consumer, here's some choices you can make that can lead to a healthier life. We have a big health and wellness initiative. So it's pretty powerful what this future is going to be. And I think until you're there, it's hard to really grok how powerful it is. And once you're there, we really believe that it's hard to imagine a world that we used to before this existed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So every week, 140 million consumers walk into Walmart stores, and they're greeted by 2.2 million associates. So that's a lot of human beings to bring along as you introduce new technology. Why don't you talk a little bit about your experiences introducing new technology, both for your shoppers, but also for your staff?
Yeah, no, it's hard, right? There's 2.2 million associates. There's, some of those associates, especially in store, in any retail environment, there's turnover, other issues, so training is hard. So what we try to do is we try to make our experiences as simple as possible for the consumer, so you don't need a lot of assistance. Last year, we launched a pilot for a scan-and-go experience, which is basically you can use your smartphone to scan the items in the store. So it's sort of like the experience you have in an Apple store buying accessories, except this is for your whole basket, and it's hard, you can't scan a tomato, so you kind of have to figure out how to solve all that. So we solved all those problems, and we launched this experience, and we found that any time and customers loved it. It was sort of empowering to them. It became a self-budgeting tool, and because you don't have to go to the cash register and take something out, because they use the total on the cash register as their budgeting tool. They just kind of stand there and they look at the totals adding up, and then, and you even see people kind of ordering the things on the carousel. So the must-haves are at the front and the nice-to-haves are at the back. So you see this juggling happening, and now with a smartphone, they were able to do that without any embarrassment, and make the choices in a smart way. When we launched that initially, we took the approach of like, hey, let's educate every associate, everybody with it. And our associates are very enthusiastic. They try to learn about it, but they have 50 other things to do. And over time, we did simple things like tutorials and other things for consumers, contextual help. It became that we saw the satisfaction rate of customers go up higher and higher. So it's a hard problem, but I think the holy grail is it should be simple enough that a consumer can just take it and use it without a lot of assistance. And we find our associates are actually using the tools that we're giving to consumers too, because oftentimes they don't always know where a product is in the store. I mean, if you're working in grocery and someone comes and asks you, hey, where can I find golf balls? Then it's, they may not know. So they're also using, they have, their own devices that they use the app to figure out where a product is. So it's a hard problem, but I think we have a pretty good handle on what works and what doesn't.
Okay. Well, we all know that technology is changing really fast on smartphones. There's biometric authentication, there's voice, you can speak into your phone and create a shopping list, beacons tracking customers in stores. What are some of the technologies that you think are really interesting that Walmart is implementing or might implement?
So I guess I'd answer the question by saying we're excited about any technology that helps our consumers save money, right? So this whole idea of, we have a program at Asda in the UK called Asda Price Guarantee, which is similar to the savings catcher notion that I talked about, which is you come and shop at Asda, and if it was cheaper anywhere else, we would refund you the difference. And so leveraging data to be able to do that is one of the most, things that consumers value about Asda. But specifically about technology, we're pretty excited about iBeacons because knowing where a customer is often can help us serve them better. So there are a significant number of people who shop on our online sites, pick up products in the store. And when you're picking up that product in the store, sometimes it's kind of hard because when you get to the store, you have to wait 10 minutes or whatever, 5 minutes to get that product. But now with things like iBeacons, we're piloting experiences where as soon as you're in the parking lot, well, we know Don's in the parking lot. We know you're Don because you're authenticated with the app. We know you have an order ready for pickup. So we're able to alert the associate in the back on their devices, and they have the order ready for you the second you get there. So iBeacons, I think, has a lot of use cases. That's just one. So we're looking at that. Payments, I think we've talked about a lot. I often joke that if press releases were a proxy for adoption, we'd all be using mobile payments. But I do think there's something powerful about how in-store payment experiences will be transformed. We have, different things that we're piloting, and as well as things like Scan and Go and other things. You'll see more coming from us. We're part of this MCX consortium that's trying to build a low-cost payment solution for consumers. So, those are some things that we're excited about. But, the wonderful thing is, everything changes every day. So there's something else to be excited about pretty quickly.
Yeah, when pollsters ask consumers, how do you feel about being tracked in stores, they always say, most of them say, no, I don't want that. How do you address the privacy concern?
I think the value equation has always, has to be there always. I mean, I often tell the team, do unto others as you want to be done unto you. And so, and then maybe even discount that further because we're probably more technology forward than our average customer. So, if you typed in your phone number and you found $2 or $3 that you wouldn't have found otherwise, right? people don't care because that's found money. They don't care about that, the fact that they're giving up that identity. When you go to online shopping sites, it gives you recommendations based on things you've browsed, and So I think privacy is really what people are saying is, listen, don't misuse my data, don't give it to other people without my permission, and make sure when you use the data that I see the value for that. So our approach is, we're relatively conservative because I think as a company with the scale that we have, we hold ourselves to a higher standard in some ways than other folks do or need to do. And we try to make sure that the value equation is always there in how we use the data. And we're not, I don't, tracking people in the store where they are, I mean, you don't have to go all that far to deliver significant value to the customer. I think some of this is just, we talk about it because it's sort of, you can think of a bunch of use cases if you could track where a customer is in a physical space. But your transaction history is a pretty good predictor of what are the areas of the stores that you spend time in. So there are other ways to do it without crossing that, factor for the consumers.
Okay, we've got just a few minutes left. If anyone in the audience has questions, we've got a question here. I think there's some folks with mics gonna. There you go. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Suneet, and we do location-based mobile shopping apps. So it was music to my ear to hear you say that the mobile apps are bringing web to the store, which I think is perfectly right. But my question is, typically when we talk to retailers, a lot of retailers have this notion of, if I have a mobile web presence, I already have my mobile strategy in place, which I think becomes very counterproductive because mobile web will not give you the same kind of experience as you have with mobile app, which can become your companion when you're inside the store. So try to drive more and more traffic to your store. So what's your feeling about that in terms of, so just one more part to the question is, I think the second big thing which we see is hard for the consumer is the mobile payment. And I think what we see mobile apps as ability for customers to buy in-store or online, anytime, anywhere kind of thing. And I think is Walmart addressing that kind of situation where customers can, with one click, just buy online rather than fat-fingering the credit card information, the home address and stuff?
Yeah, so on the first one, in terms of apps versus mobile website, our approach is we do both. But what we find is that app adoption is really a proxy for customer loyalty, right? So if you're just coming to Walmart once a year on Black Friday to get a deal, you're not going to download an app. We want to make it as frictionless for you as possible. You find, maybe you come from Google, you get to the mobile website, it's an optimized experience, you buy and you leave. We have a pretty big grocery delivery business at Asda in the UK, and we're scaling one up in the US. We find that our grocery customers, 80% of them prefer the app. And that's where most of the transaction engagement comes from, because it's a richer experience. And people have so many apps that they have kind of top of mind. So if it's a brand that you interact with on a weekly basis, then it's worth having the app. So our approach is, is there an engagement model for the consumer there where we have a chance of winning that loyalty from the customer and that top of mindness for the app? And so then we build an app. Oftentimes, if it doesn't meet that bar, if we're just piloting something, maybe we just build a great web experience and be done with it. In terms of payments, as I said, without going into specifics, our goal is to provide our customers frictionless payments at the lowest possible cost, right? And so lowest net cost, because if we can save money, then we pass it on to our consumers. And so, the physical payment experience, and we have a lot of unbanked and underbanked customers as well. So it's a different kind of problem for us than even when you think about it in a traditional retail setting. So we have tons of payment solutions. We just launched a Walmart to Walmart money transfer solution that saves consumers instead of $40 for certain transactions, they pay $10. I mean, it's pretty dramatic that the things that we can do in financial services and payments. So it's a hot area for us.
Well, it looks like we're out of time. Sorry. Thanks, Gibu. It was very interesting, and I'm sure that you'll be happy to talk to some of these people offline. But Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Don. It was great.
Okay.